Welcome back to Channel Water. Today I want to tell you a story. It's a short story. It takes place on a planet very, very far away. It's a big planet. And the beings on this planet are very big too. It's a very cold planet. They don't have a solar system. They don't have a sun. These beings have been around for a long, long time. We can't even name them or relate to them because they're so big and so different in essence, in the way they are, in the way they came to be. Since it was a really cold planet and things were moving so slow, the beings on that planet were trying to find solutions, trying to find heat sources, study other suns in other places. They invented a special telescope that can read signatures of heat, and they could see the patterns of the sun, this fluid fire. It was mesmerizing and beautiful and completely unfamiliar. They could almost feel the heat through their eyes. As they were watching the sun, different planets will at times cause a sun eclipse, and nothing would really show. All those planets were dead. But one day, an eclipse was not the same. As they were looking at the sun and expected just to see a black circle, they were reading of heat, signatures of heat from this planet. A planet that previously was completely dead. From now on, their entire focus shifted to planet Earth. They fine-tuned all their instruments and were looking to see in finer resolution those heat signatures from planet Earth. What are those creatures? What are those plants? What's happening there? These beings wanted to learn how to bring fire to their own planet and how to control it in such a way. So they put their telescope on a probe and sent it toward this planet, getting better and better information as they get closer. So very quickly they started mapping this planet, mapping everything they saw, every little signature of heat, and they started building a science, a complete science that is repetitive and predictable of what will happen on this planet. And they felt that they understand the life on this planet. It was very similar to plants and single cells they knew from their own. And it made sense because of the scale on this tiny planet, that it would fit to those categories. They were amazed by this iron world with all those iron creatures moving around, having a metabolism of fire. They watched as those beings evolved quickly and grew in size, scale, and amount, and started covering that entire planet. They came up with so many rules and laws, so many ways they could predict what will happen on planet Earth. It seems like very soon they'll solve every possible thing about this planet. They'll know everything there is to know. And maybe it will shed light on their origin, where they came from, what their own past was. Because this seems to be a very primitive being, a beginning of some sort. And everyone prepared for the day the probe will reach this planet and get close enough to get visual, sound, get actual readings from the planet itself and not just heat signatures. The entire world stopped to a halt as they were counting down to the zero moment where the probe is going to reach this planet and they're going to get the first audio. As they got closer, they expected to hear sounds of steel, sounds of iron creatures moving around. They didn't know exactly how. They didn't know what the sound of their fire metabolism would be. They didn't know what to expect. As the first audio started to come in, they started to hear those sounds, those waves. Very quickly, those sounds were very different. They expected to find automatic machines, but all they could hear was laughter and play, songs, music. They made an entire science based on reality, on the physical reality they saw. And their science was true. Time after time, experiment after experiment, what they watched was true. Yet they could not see love, jealousy, obsession. They couldn't see anything of the emotion and the consciousness that is behind all those movements on this planet. They thought the iron was the thing itself. They thought the iron was changing states and reshaping itself. But there's always somebody doing something. Somebody must be shaping, somebody must be moving. Now the mystery grew bigger. Who was that thing? Who was shaping and moving this planet? Who was touching the iron? Who was brave enough to be so close to the metabolism of fire in those machines? They couldn't see who it was. They couldn't detect from so far away with their big eyes. They couldn't see the small particles that were driving those cars, making them. They couldn't hear the love stories and poems that we wrote. Everything they believed to be alive and active was not, and was passive. To them, the true active agent was completely invisible. Yet it allowed them to make a complete science that was true and repeatable and predictable. And they made a big mistake to think that size, when it comes to consciousness, matters. When it comes to consciousness, size does not matter. I hope to show you today that with limited vision, we can create only limited theories. And it's important for us to acknowledge what we cannot see and what could be. We need to acknowledge consciousness within our structures. This is not a passive world, and we're not passive elements.